Tuesday, 30th of March 2018. A client that I'm working with today. Specifically, I'm just doing some pre-work, I guess. I'm not going to talk to her for a couple more hours. Decided what I'm going to start doing with my minor arcana since I never do anything with it. I've been primarily using it as to identify an individual. So I got all my minor arcana besides the Queen of Discs put out right here. And I'm going to pick one for her. Queen of Cups. Okay. I actually have no idea what the Queen of Cups means. Wait a minute. Queen of Cups. Loving, tender-hearted, intuitive. Loving turns away wrath with caring, is unconditional, accepting, is sensitive to feelings of others, dispels anger and hate, has infinite patience. Is a woman whose throne is right on the ocean's edge. A water is typically symbolic to the unconscious and feeling. Fascinating. Fascinating. That explains her dream problem she's having. Alright. A dreamer and a visionary. I don't usually use the minor arcana, so. Well. I guess we picked well for that. So. Let's see. Overall focus for the Queen of Cups. See, she's concerned about her dreams. So what would be the... Oops. Zodiac house themes for her dreams. Okay. Gemini, Neptune, her second house. So she's having some sort of futuristic insight about her immediate area. Could be potentially to do with weather. Or the spiritual dynamic of where she is. So, let's start with what was her overall, I guess. I know she just got money, but what was her, I guess, soul's intention or overall purpose on a subconscious level to schedule the reading with me from the get-go? Not today, but initially. This kind of feeds into like what we talked about last year. On one of my live streams, this individual was actually on it randomly. When I first started doing my tarot stuff, obviously the tarot stuff is going to be a portion of the reading she's getting with me because she's doing an astrological consultation. But I do this beforehand to get an idea of what's going on. So, the initial reason why she sought out a consultation with me is to gain overall prudence and virtuous of her decisions in life, and have some sort of scientific, beyond reasonable doubt, way for her to compromise any of her foundational issues, so her emotional issues or anything to do with like her early life, that sort of thing. Your foundation is all about your strength too. So it's the same thing as like the seed being sown. If the seed's not sown in a great environment, then the plant doesn't grow to be healthy, sort of thing. So that has to do with the fourth house as well. So she wants to basically understand her good natures and be able to exercise insight in the future, prudence in general, with a scientific, complete, accurate way to basically compromise her self-defeating behavior, so she can be more, more self-sustained and more, just basically loving herself more, understanding herself to the point where she understands her defeating behaviors, and she understands her virtuous behaviors, and understands that some things are just, environmental, and some things you can't. So, let's see, she was recently sick. What was the origin of the sickness with that, just for the hell of it? Interesting. I mean, I've already kind of talked about that. Wow, I'm just pulling almost the same exact cards, aren't I? Ah. I hope this is still recording. It is Mercury retrograde. Okay, we're still recording. Good. Can you please go get a life? I know that, like, she's your, she's your biggest fan, but I don't need you right now, okay? Ah. So, the origin of her sickness she just got was stress. That would make sense why she didn't really get sick during a time frame that would make sense, more or less. So, the illness was caused by success of the defeating behavior and the lack of changing it, and how it contributes to her health and her emotional well-being. To do with her reputation or her environment, her public area, so where she just moved to. So that could mean that she actually got a contagious illness from people in the area she just moved to, but primarily it does relate to stress, because even people who are completely submersed in a really contaminant environment can still actually, basically deflect any kind of contaminant illness, contagious illness and stuff. Okay, so she specifically said, I need to talk to you today about the dreams or whatever. So the initial, before she contacted me, what was inspiring her to do so was her self-defeating behaviors. I got that card again. And what will happen as a result of us talking about this is the Eon, meaning that it's universal. And then what will result in her and I having this discussion is there will be an abundance of understanding. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Let's just go ahead and give her all the nitty-gritty here. So, her moving to Cincinnati. Let's see how that goes. Peace. Oh, we got her card here. I don't know any of the details about her moving to Cincinnati, besides the fact that she moved to Cincinnati. But essentially, for her to resolve any of her worries or stresses of the self, likely to do with her love life, perhaps, and the disappointment of the Queen of Cups, which is her, that will be victorious due to indolence. Hold on a second. Indolence is one of those words that I'm just like... Doesn't matter how many times I look up that word. Yeah, it's even in my Google history. Avoidance of activity, laziness, sloth, inactivity, inaction. Sluggishness, lifelessness. So essentially, her moving to Cincinnati will give her some sort of motivations to actually live, which is something that her and I kind of brushed up on briefly. So, her dreams, specifically. I don't know if I did that, but we'll do that again. Her dreams are associated with the success of Love, the Queen of Cups. I got it again. I got her card again. And the Failure, Debauchery. I think I like the whole using the minor arcana and labeling people. I think this is cool. I like this. So, essentially, her dreams are based on the potential ruin of her success with love, with the Queen of Cups, or be successful with ruining the stagnant sorts of second house issues, and the failure debauchery. So this looks like this stems back to relationship things. Somehow the move was involved with that. This all stems back to self-love issues and being with toxic people and in general. So her and I talked about her love life last year. What is the scenario going on with that now? Love life. Nina, what are you doing? Are you? Her love life. Just looking at these cards initially, I want to smack whoever the hell she's talking to. It's my first thing. The cruelty, the mental abuse or cruelty, leading somebody on, and worrying about the communication in general, and failing to gain anything of meaning out of it. The first thing I think of is Catfish, the Catfish MTV show. When I looked at that. Uranus, Libra, 5th house. So, the balance of your relationships is causing a trauma signature on the self. Whoever this is the origin of a lot of your emotional issues. I'm not saying that you haven't had emotional issues prior to this, but this person exacerbates it. Whoever they are. Use my karma cards. Let's see. Let's do sign, house, and planet. So, I'm pulling the karma cards out for what should be done about this. Because I don't have any kind of biased anything at this point. If my irritation with whoever this isn't evident enough, I don't know what to say. Moon and Capricorn in the 8th house. Spiritually to defend your goals as a life or death issue. Yeah. That's evident right now too with the Revelations Rapture thing going on. On a mental level, accept the day-to-day reality of getting and using power. Yeah, don't wield your power away to some asshole. Physically, let your feelings tell you how to use the most of your business-like way and use other people's resources, or lack thereof, or don't let them use yours. That would be the way to react to that. The way to absorb this and I guess accept it would be, on a spiritual level, the nurturing of a dedication to achieve personal power. Again, self-love. And the mental would be physical. Mental is feelings caused by focusing on the mysteries of life. Focus internally, self-love. That also explains your dreams. And then on a physical level, reactions resulting from the rules imposed by a major change. So it seems like you got sick somehow related to your move. and that your move was kind of like a thing out of desperation to either, you know, try to reconcile something that I don't think you should, or to get away from something that cannot be reconciled, which we're both aware that you can't, despite how much you try. And girl, I'm right there with you. Been there, done that, totally understand. We both have the same rising, the same MC, hopeful wishes, dreams, hoping everything will work out, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't. And trust me, all the hope in the world does not make it better, and it doesn't make you accept it any easier. As a matter of fact, it just makes your fall even higher. You're just putting yourself on cloud 9 even higher and higher, and the fall is even more treacherous than if you were to cut it off ahead of time. That's the pre-reading, and I'll provide this and then do the follow-up in a couple hours.
Hello, hello, is there someone there who cares for God-forsaken souls and God-forsaken man? Is there someone there who cares? Hello, hello, is there someone there who cares for God-forsaken souls and God-forsaken man? Oh, hello, hello, is there someone there who cares for God-forsaken souls and God-forsaken man? Is there someone there who cares?